Long ago, in a small African village surrounded by thick forests and wide rivers, there lived a tortoise named Embe. Everyone in the village knew Embe. He was not strong like elephant, not fast like antelope, and not clever like hare. But there was one thing Embe was known for: his greed. Embe loved food more than anything else. He loved yam pottage, roasted plantains, palm wine, and honey dripping from the hive. If he heard that a feast was happening anywhere, his short legs would carry him there. If he smelled the aroma of soup in the air, his mouth would water until he found where it was cooking. Now, during the season of plenty, when farmers harvested yams and cassava and the hunters brought back fat antelopes, the birds of the sky decided to hold a grand feast. It was to be the greatest feast of the year, with fruits, grains, and delicacies that only the Sky Kingdom could prepare. The birds sang about the feast in the mornings as they perched on the trees. They danced in the evenings, chirping and whistling about the delicious meals that would be served. Embe, who was resting under a palm tree one evening, overheard them. His little eyes widened and his stomach rumbled. "A feast in the sky," Embe muttered to himself. That is where I must go. I cannot miss it. My stomach will never forgive me." But there was one problem. Embe could not fly. His legs were short, his shell heavy, and his wings non-existent. Yet his greed would not let him rest. The next morning, Embe went to the gathering of birds. He bowed and greeted them with honeyed words. "My dear friends of the sky, my beautiful singers, how your feathers shine in the sunlight. Truly, the world is lucky to have you." The birds fluttered their wings proudly. They enjoyed praise, and Embe knew how to flatter. He continued, "I hear you are planning a feast. Such a great feast should not miss a wise guest like me. Please take me with you." The birds laughed at first. "Tortoise, you cannot fly," they said. "How can you join us?" But Embe was cunning. He rubbed his chin and said, "You are many. If each of you lends me just one feather, I can make wings for myself. Then I will fly with you." The birds murmured among themselves. They remembered how greedy Embe was, but his flattery had softened their hearts. At last they agreed. Each bird plucked one feather and gave it to him. Embe carefully tied the feathers together until he had 2 wide wings. He flapped them, and to everyone's surprise, he lifted into the air. The birds cheered, and Embe laughed. "See, now I am one of you." On the day of the feast, the sky was bright and blue. The birds, with Embe among them, rose high into the air. They flapped and soared higher and higher until they reached the kingdom of the sky. The sky people welcomed them with drums and songs. There were long mats spread with food, roasted yams, steaming soup, sweet fruits, and pots of palm wine. The aroma alone made Embe's stomach groan loudly. Before they ate, the king of the sky stood up. He raised his hand and said, "Dear guests, welcome to our feast. You may eat and drink as much as you wish. But before we begin, let us decide the name by which we shall call ourselves as a group. What name shall we use?" The birds chirped and whistled. They could not decide on a name, but Embe's eyes glistened. He cleared his throat and said, "Friends, we should call ourselves all of you. Yes, that will be our name." The birds found it strange, but they agreed. The king of the sky then announced, "This feast is for all of you. May all of you eat to your fill." Mbe jumped up quickly. "Ah, I am all of you. The food is for me alone." He ran to the mats and began to eat greedily. He stuffed roasted yam into his mouth, drank palm wine until his belly bulged, and licked the soup from the calabash. The birds watched in shock. They flapped their wings angrily, but Mbe ignored them. He rolled in the food, swallowing and munching until almost nothing was left. When he was done, he lay back, rubbing his stomach, and said, "Thank you, dear friends. This feast was delicious. Truly, the sky knows how to cook." The birds were furious. They whispered among themselves, plotting how to teach Mbe a lesson. Finally, one bird spoke aloud. "Tortoise, since you have eaten all the food, you must carry our message of thanks to your people on the ground." Of course, Mbe said proudly. He spread his feathered wings, ready to fly back. But as he prepared to leap, the birds each fluttered close to him. Quietly, one by one, they plucked back the feathers they had given him. In moments, Mbe's wings were gone. His heavy shell weighed him down, and he had no feathers left. He looked down from the sky and trembled. The earth seemed very far below. "Friends," Mbe pleaded, "how will I return to the ground?" The birds replied, "That is your problem, greedy one. You tricked us, and you stole our feast. Now find your own way home." Mbe panicked. He looked at the earth far below, then at the sky people, who only shook their heads. At last he called to his wife on the ground. "Wife," he shouted. His voice echoed through the air. "Spread soft things on the ground so I can fall safely. Lay out mats and cloths and grasses so I will not break when I land." But Mbe's wife was angry. She had heard from the birds how her husband had disgraced himself. Instead of laying out soft mats, she spread hard stones and broken pots on the ground. Mbe shut his eyes tightly and leaped. Down, down, down he fell, spinning and twisting through the air. He landed with a terrible crash upon the stones and pots. His shell cracked into many pieces. Mbe groaned in pain, but he did not die. His wife gathered the broken pieces of his shell and glued them together. From that day, the tortoise's shell has lines and cracks all over it. And so the people of the village say, "Greed may give you wings, but it will also break your shell." The story of Mbe spread far and wide. Children learned not to be greedy. Elders told it by the fireside. And whenever a tortoise was seen moving slowly, people remembered the day he tried to fly and failed. Moral lesson: greed and cunning may bring temporary success, but in the end, selfishness always leads to downfall.